recording? All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to have all of you on here today. We have a very special guest, so I hope you have a notebook and you're ready to take notes. Michael Bernoff. I met him probably now 3 weeks ago. And he is just phenomenal. He is an author. If you have not gotten this book, I Get It, Average Sucks. I just started reading it and it's amazing. He is the founder of the Human Communication Institute here in Arizona, of all places. I'm like, when I found Michael, I was like, what? He's here in Scottsdale, Arizona, so close to us. And I have the privilege of this weekend attending one of his seminars, 2.5 full days, and it will be amazing. The name of the book is Average Sucks by Michael Bernoff. There you go, Marisa. He is so what is special about him, and put it in a nutshell, he is a communication expert. He can teach us the psychology of sales and how to improve our communication, because when you improve your communication, you improve your confidence and you just improve overall everything. So I was so excited to meet him and have all of you the opportunity tonight to hear him. He has helped hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people with their communication. He's been in network marketing, so he understands us in network marketing, but he's also helped top executives, athletes all over the board, improving their mindset, their communication, and their confidence. So I am going to turn it over to Michael Bernoff. I don't see him on here.
I'm here, Maria. Can you hear me? That's the important part.
He's hiding.
I'm hiding. If this were the Brady Bunch, I'm in the Peter Square. I'm up top. Okay. So thank you for the introduction. You've got very big shoes to fill with your leadership, and also you and Carrie putting this Zoom together. Very excited about this and super excited about what we're going to cover here tonight. So you want me to roll? You want me to go with this? You ready to rock? All right, so I'm gonna turn it on. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun here today, and we're gonna be using our fingers and our voices. And I'm gonna make one little, very, very large recommendation here in a couple seconds. If you have not yet told those great people in your team about us doing this, in 15 minutes from now, you're gonna be like, why didn't I tell them? So if you've got a minute, you open up your phone, it's not complicated, or ask your 16-year-old and you send a text, okay? Or you go on Instagram and let them know we're doing this. You can even take a picture of what's going on and let them know, because in about 9 minutes from now, you're gonna wish your entire team was involved. Because how many of you would love to have incredible people in your team helping you hawk your products way more often? How many of you would love that? Anybody game on? I got these everywhere. I got them in my room. I've got them in my house. I've got stuff laid out in my vanity at my house. And one of the things that I learned, I've been around direct sales for a long time, and this is going to be a very, very different training than most of you have been to before. Because how many of you have ever heard a training, been to a sermon, been to a seminar, got so fired up just to do nothing? How many of you have done that? I know I have. How many of you have done that? To do nothing. Like, I love what the pastor said so much that I catch the rabbi the next day. On top of that, I caught the next guy next week, and I caught the guru and the Buddhist guy, and I caught them all, but I still didn't do what I needed to get done. What I love so much about direct sales, and I've been around this industry longer than probably almost anybody here on this phone. I got introduced to direct sales at a very, very young age. I was 17 when I first moved out to Arizona State. Jake Plummer's mom actually got me started in Telecard Network, which, if you don't know what that is, I want you to imagine this for a second. You're a college kid and you have to walk up to a phone to call people, and you've got to put quarters in. How many of you remember this? Quarters. I'm calling New Jersey from Arizona. Quarters, right? And then eventually his card comes along, and it was like, if you dialed a 1-800 number and then 97 digits afterwards, like 1-800-576-84321, then 85 more numbers, then the number. 3 minutes later, you ring your parents. So this guy introduced me to this idea of selling phone cards. Genius concept, save a bunch of kids money. And what was amazing about it was, I thought I had it figured out, because I would just walk up to people, and this is my pitch. Give me $100 and get in my deal. I'm from New Jersey. That's how we talk. Give me $100, get in my deal. And it was so good for 5 people. And when the 6th told me, no, they're not interested, I questioned, said why? And I think I hit a bar, and I never did anything with that business again. And when I got started in direct sales again, it was a great leader, someone like Maria, that really made a big difference in my life. And I want to share this with you right now, because it's very, very important. How many of you realize that you've been in this business. I'm just going to scan the screen for a while. How many of you have been involved for more than 2 days? Anybody more than 2 days? Okay. How many of you have been involved a good couple of years? Raise your hands a good couple of years. Okay. Anybody a bad couple of years? Okay. You should be off the video by now if it's a bad couple of years. It's been a great couple of years of this product. And the reason I bring this up is when my mentor got me started, one of the things he did with the new company was he tricked me. And sometimes we've got to trick people into becoming successful, and we've got to trick people, and not a bad trick, but sometimes we've got to get people to stop being who they are to get them to be who they're capable of being. I was very lucky at 19 years old that a gentleman came into my life. I met him when I was valeting cars at the Borgata in Scottsdale. And this guy brought me into his business. And I'm only going to tell you this, and then I'm going to get started with what we're doing. And he had me show up at an opportunity meeting that he was doing after I got started. I was blown away. I saw his charisma. I thought he was amazing. And I said, I would love to present like him. I even went up to him afterwards and I said to him, I said, listen, how do I get the ability to present like you? I'm gonna mute Lisa Morris here. You got to mute yourself. Very good. Someone mute Lisa. Lisa, you got to mute yourself. Okay, very good. And what's interesting, I said, how do I present like you? He said, that is a miraculous question. I love that question that you're asking me. He goes, I got a great idea. Come to the meeting next week. And I came to the meeting next week. And at the end of the meeting, there was a part that he knew I loved about the comp plan. And he let me teach for about 1:30, like 90 seconds, he let me teach. So here I was, just a kid finishing college, and I got to speak for 90 seconds. I was high as a kite afterwards. I was so excited. I was so proud of myself. I spoke for 90 seconds. The next week rolls around and I was doing the presentation again. He said, Michael, do you mind teaching the entire comp plan? And I'm 3 weeks into the business. I taught the entire comp plan. I felt so amazing. He did 90 minutes. I did 10 minutes. It was absolutely incredible. And then the next meeting, I remember he called my cell phone. And it was about 5 minutes till the meeting got started. And I'd watched this guy do this presentation about 5 times already over the last 3 weeks. And he called me, he said, Michael, I'm running a little bit behind. Do you mind getting started without me? And I'm like, how do I do it? He goes, you saw me do it a couple times. You can figure it out. He didn't show up that day. I botched the whole 90 minutes. I did a good job. A couple people got started. A few people enrolled with me in the business afterwards. And then I found out from some other leaders in the business that have been around a while, that was his thing. And he did it all the time. Because one of the things this leader realized was you're never going to be ready. You just got to get started and do what needs to get done. And from that day, I've turned that little thing that he did to me and shared with me into hundreds of millions of dollars in sales in my life. And I want to tell all of you that I'm going to share with you everything that I've learned over the last 20 years, as much as I can compact in about an hour to help all of you make a major difference in what's going on. So I got to ask a big question. How many of you would love the ability to understand people better and to get them started a little quicker in your business? How many of you would love that, to get them a little started? How many of you would love people to start doing what they say they're going to do? Does anybody want that? Like they say they need it. Like how many of you know some people in your life, like just looking at them, I'm not here to be rude, they need our products. How many of you would agree? Just look at them. They need our products. Okay. They're walking around like this. Okay, they're exhausted. They need the products. They're telling you how tired they are. They're burned out by life and you're looking at them, but for whatever reason, you can't get your point across. How many of you got a crazy uncle? He knows he needs it. You know he needs it. And for whatever reason, he goes to Starbucks versus buying your product. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Everybody getting this? You know what I mean? I heard earlier, some of you are like, how many of these can I take in a day? And I'm like, I'm not even staying out of that conversation, right? You're like caffeinated or not. So we've got people that need what it is we have. So my job for the next hour is to do a couple of very, very simple things. And yes, I am going to be an hour. And yes, it is going to be fun. And if I go 75 minutes, I apologize. I have a genetic defect called over delivering. How many of you recognize it's a good quality to have? And it's very important. All of us should have it. If some of you wind up laughing a little and your dopamine leaks in your brain, I am a full-blown drug dealer. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is all of you need to become drug dealers too. And I don't mean just the products. We've got to get really good at releasing dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, oxytocin inside people's bodies. Because at the end of the day, those of you that are not familiar with me and what I do, I'm going to give you a quick little tidbit on who I am. So how many of you have been in this business now for, honestly, for at least 6 months to a year, and you know how solid this company is? How many of you been in a while? This is your creme de la creme. I get around the industry. I speak for companies sometimes and I get on stage and going, yeah, this isn't going to work. You guys are going to be here like permanently, like etched in stone with what's going on. So you got a solid company with amazing things happen. But I'm also going to tell you that we live in an industry where there's some people that are a little bit shady. How many of you would agree? There's some shady characters that get involved with direct sales or nutraceutical products. There's some people that don't do the best thing. And same in my business with what it is that I do. So in my business, one of the things that I've recognized is, this is pretty interesting, is there's the good guys and then there's the bad guys. So when I talk about being on the good guy side of things, my job in life is to do this. And you could tell me if this excites you, to get people's attention quickly. Now, how many of you would love to master getting people's attention? Does anybody think you could turn that into happiness, more money? Like some of you ladies, like if I could just get my husband's attention, there's some things you can do, ladies, that are very easy to get his attention. Okay. If you do them, they work, right? Not just that, there's some other things you can do and talk a little differently to get their attention. I've also learned that if you could lower people's resistance, they're more receptive to what's going on. So for 20 years, I've been teaching the highest level of communication on the planet, how to get people's attention, lower resistance, increase receptivity. And some of you are like, screw my business right now. I just want my kids to get their homework done. And yes, these strategies will work with them as well if you want to get better at that. It's something every one of you can do. And when I talk about the bad guys or bad girls, bad people that do what I do, my friends that I network with, and I'm friends with these people, I'm not going to judge them for their choices, but they work for the other people. A lot of the people that have the skills that I have, they work for Facebook and they're addiction experts. Did anybody understand the word I just said? Addiction experts. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if we got people addicted to being an entrepreneur, addicted to making a difference, addicted to being healthy, addicted to never going to McDonald's again? It would be amazing. Like, I am so addicted, I never go to McDonald's again. We'd have a better world. My friends also work for the news. They work for NBC, Fox, NBC, ABC, CNN. They work for all of them. And do you know what their job is? To get people's attention, lower resistance, and increase receptivity. So many of you have been thinking, I got a prospecting issue, my leads issue. And at the end of the day, we've just got to get better at a few things. Drugging people correctly so they fall in love with what's going on. Because how many of you realize, like Netflix, they do that to you? Does anybody know that? They do that. They design the episode just when you think you can leave. It's like a slot machine. They murder somebody, somebody gets pregnant, something happens. So you've got to click that little button called continue. So you watch another 90 minutes and give 90 more minutes of your life away. How many of you are getting this? Everybody catching this? Making sense? So why am I bringing this up and why this is necessary for all of us to do? And I see Jade Anderson just gave me like a big old one of these. I just got like wax on, wax off of what's happening. My job is to get this to become part of what it is that you do. So I've got three main things I'm going to cover today, and you can give me yeses in the box if this excites you. Number one, I'll get to this in a little bit, but how many of you would like to know why people don't do what they say they're going to do, and how to get people to actually do what they want and really find out what actually motivates people? Because what you're doing, it really isn't working. How many of you would like to learn that? What really works to motivate more people? You give me yeses in the box. I cover these things. Sound good? I need a few more yeses than that. Okay. Number two, and for those of you, and I say this all the time, I jump all over the place. Like, can he give me the 7 ways to do this? Folks, there's 7 ways to build your business online. If that would have worked, all of you had already built your business you wanted. That doesn't work. 7 ways to quit carbs online. 7 ways to make your husband fall in love with you. 7 ways to make your wife fall in love with you. All of that's online. If 7 ways to do this worked, those are called clickbait, then everybody would have perfect bodies, perfect life, perfect sex life, and everything would be going the way they wanted to. But that's not the way things work. I teach what's called ADD style. Now, maybe you aren't familiar with ADD. I have it. Now, does anyone have ADD here? Let me look around. Does anybody have it? Raise your hand. If you don't have it, you should get it. You should really get it. Most of you don't know. All my wealthy friends, they got a version of it. Like my buddy Howie. Howie's billionaire. Howie's got full-blown ADD. Some of you think, because you think of your kids, it means can't pay attention. Your kids pay attention perfectly on what they want to pay attention to. They're just not interested in what you're discussing. So a lot of us, what we do is we blame the kid. We need to blame the teacher. Teachers, if they were more exciting and more interesting, kids would be more involved. I'll give you an example. How many of you have ever been so bothered as a parent? If we have parents on here, TikTok, Instagram, they've taken over my kids, Kim Kardashian, like I used to get mad. And then I realized I'm not going to get mad. I want to find out what they're doing. See, here's why your kids like TikTok. TikTok's exciting. It gets to the point quickly, and you're boring, mom. Let's just get real. Does anybody get it? Because at home, you come up from school and the best line you've got is, how was your day? If how was your day was TikTok, TikTok would be gone. How many of you realize it's 2022? We need a better line than how was your day? Did you learn anything today? Raise your hand if you're getting this right now. Is everybody catching on? We need to get smarter. We need to get better at what it is we're doing. But like I was at a funeral recently and I said something stupid. I literally said to somebody, they said, Michael, you don't get how hard it is. And I said, man, I can't imagine what you're dealing with. What a stupid thing to say. There's nothing worse than saying that. So you know what I did? I came back a couple minutes later. I walked up to her because she just lost her brother. I said, can I tell you a story about something that happened with your brother that's going to make you laugh? And she laughed and she cracked up because that is what she wanted. The reason I'm telling you this is we've got to step up our level of play. Second thing I'm going to share with you. Tell me if you think this is exciting. Why goal setting seems to keep on not working. Why, when you got big old dream boards and your team's got dream boards, people quit and goal setting just doesn't work for most people. How many of you would like to know how to set goals and get them and stop talking? Anybody want that? Setting goals and getting them. Very good. This is psychology I'm going to share with you. I work with UFC fighters. How do I get them to be amazing? I'm also going to share with you the path that every time you bring someone into this business that you take them through. And I'm going to steal some old Talmudic stuff because we just ended Easter and Passover here the other day, and this is old school. And it says this: when you save a life, you're responsible for it. I truly believe when you bring someone into this business, you're responsible for being your best and showing them the best so they can actually win. You're not having to guarantee their success, but how many of you realize when we sponsor them and we bring them in, we have to make them get it? How many of you get this? Everybody catching on? It's up to us. So I'm going to give you a path that we take people through to get them to stay in longer, to get them to commit to success, and maybe do this thing called screw up and bring you somebody cool. How many of you would like if that annoying person stayed in 90 more days and screwed up and brought you an incredible person? How many of you would love that? I mean, some of you said, he just said screwed up. I did. And your kids say it too. And it's funny. So instead of being polite and perfect, how many of you realize we need to be entertaining and fun? Most of you, you want to go, let me explain what's in the product. You know what's in the product? Here's what's in the product. It's very simple. Have you noticed as you get older, you have less energy? Would you like to recover like you did maybe 10 years ago? That's all the products can offer you. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be enough to get me to spend $150 a month. I don't care what's in it. You know that brain fog you get? How would you like to have less of that? That's worth $150 a month. Instead of explaining how it works, people want the benefit. And the last couple things I'm going to share with you, and tell me if you think this is good. I'm going to teach you a Jedi trick on how to literally get people to say no to you and then turn into clients. Does anybody think that's pretty exciting? Literally give you a no right to your freaking face. Give you a no. Like I'm from Jersey. That's how we talk. I live in Arizona now, but they give you a no. And literally they wind up buying from you and they wind up booking a meeting and getting involved. I'm going to show all of you how to do it. And you're going to go, no way. Would that really work? Yeah, it works pretty good. And on top of that, I'll give you the one line that I've learned that's, I don't know, help me recruit and make a ton of money, make it happen. And I'm going to show you all how to do this. And then I'll end it off. Maybe I'll answer some questions, give you a little story, and then I'll show you how to get where Maria's at, because I'll tell you, there's something she's got in her DNA and her blood that once you understand, it's not just your products, it's the way she works her life that every one of you can do. That's a big order for about 45 minutes. So let me get at it. Let's have a little bit of fun and let's make this thing happen and move in the right direction. So let's get at it. So if you've got a pen and paper, it'll be helpful. And a lot of us have to figure out what we're really going after and what we're really dealing with. Most of us have to realize that if you could become a high-level street therapist, which means really good at solving people's problems and dealing them the appropriate level of drugs at the right time, all of us have the ability to make a major, major impact in the people that come into our lives. So how did I get rolling on this? So let's start off the story here real quickly. I don't have like a really eloquent, really cool story that I'd love to share with you. Like I love when I'm at events, when I go to seminars and that speaker gets on stage that tells you I was left on a subway when I was 9. My parents decided to remove both of my legs when I was a kid and I grew them both back. How many of you have heard these stories before? Do you know what I'm talking about? You know, you don't get it. I lived with wolves when I was a kid. You know, you don't get it. Bambi was my mom and my mom was taken from me when I was a kid. When you hear these stories, you get super motivated. And I don't have that story like, my dad was Steve Jobs. We invented the Apple. We're rich. You're not. I don't have that story. My story is a lot like most of yours. And the biggest reason why it's challenging to get ahead financially, it's challenging to get new people involved with the business, and why people play smaller than they need to play. And why I'm going to bring this up is it's a big problem in the world today, especially if you're born the way I was and the world the way I was. And the reason I'm going to say this is I grew up with one of the world's biggest challenges. And the reason I'm going to tell you this is a very simple challenge is this, that one of the challenges that most people are dealing with is they don't realize what's getting in their way and what's stopping them. Because how many of you have ever felt like your whole life is you're climbing a diving board and you want to jump, but for whatever reason, you don't have the conversation, you avoid what needs to get said, and you stall out, or you do what you need to do part of the time? How many of you have dealt with that before? If you have, say I had. Anybody ever dealt with that? You're playing half-assed at what it is you're doing. And I don't care how cute your cheeks are, half-assed, it's still half-assed. So why do people play half-assed? Why are people playing smaller than they need to play in life? Well, I'm going to tell you, this wasn't a problem years ago. And it used to not be, but now it's a bigger issue totally. And the reason I'm going to say this is, if you went back to the 1910s, 1910, 1920, this wasn't an issue. It wasn't until around 1940 that they came up with this really great idea that was a really horrible idea. People were scared, they were worried, and they said, I want to find a way to get people to feel comfortable, to get people to feel safe, to get people to feel like they're capable of getting what it is they want. And they invented something called the middle class. Now I got to ask a big question. How many of you grew up lower, middle, or upper middle class? Those are three levels, like strawberry, vanilla, chocolate. Raise your hand if you grew up middle class. Anybody? Now, some of you are like, privileged man, how could you complain? Middle class is a bad thing. It was a bad thing because this, we were okay. And when you're okay, you're okay. And okay is still okay if okay is okay. But as soon as okay is not okay, it's not okay anymore. So let me give you an example. I had an extra pair of shoes. We got to go on a vacation, not the one I wanted to go on. There was no one predominantly rich in my neighborhood. Nobody could show me what to do. We were all doing about the same. So if you go back in time and you watch Little House on the Prairie, there were two options: rich Nellie, that bitch that lived down the street. Remember that bitchy little girl? And then there was the poor people that lived on the prairie. How many of you remember? That was it. And there was nobody in the middle. You were either poor and you had to figure it out, or you were that girl that they all pointed out like this. And the reason I'm bringing this up and why it's important to understand is middle class is a cool concept, but here's the problem. It overrides biology. And then what happens is you're trained to not have to go for what you want. How many of you know in your heart, you might want more, but if everybody around you is doing okay, you're not instantly motivated to do more? How many of you are getting this? And these are the people you're talking to about the business. How many of you understand this? Everybody catching on? Why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm bringing it up because all of us have created something for our lives that gets in the way and stops us from getting what it is we want. And we've built for ourselves this box. And I'm going to explain this box so all of us can get this. Now let's play a little game. And I share this on everything I covered in my book, and I'll give you an explanation how to get that book later. But I want to very quickly ask you all this question. How many of you ever said to yourself, never again? You literally said to yourself, I will never do that again. I will never date anyone like that again. You still went back for one more time. How many of you know, I see the people. I know you've done this, Janet, one more time, right? How many of you have said never again? I'll never date someone like that again. I'll never eat that again. Got the food poison syndrome. And you said never, ever, ever again. Raise your hand if you've said it. Anyone ever said never again? So what happened at that moment? You said, I don't want. And I want you to understand this because this is the psychology of people. People say, I don't want. And if you're not good at handwriting, it's fine. You can read it. It says don't want. And you build a wall behind yourself and said, I will never go back there again. Okay, many of you that got involved with this business, LifeVantage, you've said to yourself, I will never go back to using those store-bought products again. Like their vitamins are garbage, they're sawdust. I will never go back again to the crap that goes into my body that's no good. Never again. So whenever you say never again, your brain immediately says, what do you want? And these are the walls we bounce off in our lives. What do we want? What do we not want? What do we want? What do we not want? This might sound like a lot of your friends. How many of you got friends like this? You go to dinner and all they talk about is what they want, what they don't want, what they want, what they don't want. And we run our heads back and forth between it. So I want this, I don't want this. I want this, I don't want this. I want this, and I don't want this. This is most people's conversations. Pay attention to it. But if getting people what they wanted motivated them, most people would get the body they want, they'd get the relationships they want, but that's not really where the motivation comes in. The third thing, and I'm going to ask all of you just to give me your right hand, put it up like this. throw it up. Like just it's okay. Put it up. It's okay. I want to see if you'll do it. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Like just put up your hand. It's okay. I'm not like, this is social distancing. You're nowhere near me. Put the hand up. Okay. Got it. All right, good. So this is your right hand. And if you look at it, this is on the right-hand side of the box. You can put it down right now. It's your identity. Your identity is not only your need to be right, but it's the identity you have. Now, how many of you have ever said to yourself, tomorrow's going to be different? Anyone ever done that? Tomorrow's gonna be different. You don't get it. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. You can put it down, Jolene. You can lower the hand. It's okay. Okay. It's okay. You can put it down. I got it. Okay. We're good now. And I'm joking and having fun, because how many of you recognize if you don't have joke and have fun, your business is never going to work, because people like fun people. They don't like boring people. Okay. You got to learn how to have fun. So how many of you ever said tomorrow's going to be different? Tomorrow I'm going to work out. Tomorrow I'm going to prospect differently. I'm going to talk to everyone. Just to not. Anyone ever done that? The reason we don't do it, it's not that we can't, it's that when you wake up in the morning, you got all kinds of options of who you can be that day. And you know, most people be that day, they be who they already were. How many of you realize that most of us are fighting what was instead of what is? I'll give you a great example. Most of you, your whole goal in life is to not be what you were, don't want to be, and to get what you want. It's not to actually get it. It's to be a person that wants it and to avoid what you don't want. And the last piece of this box, and I'll show it to you very simply, is what's called the people. And people or people, it says right here, people. And here's what people are. All of you are expert recruiters. All of you have recruited the right people in your life to help you be who it is that you are. You got enough people in your life to make you mad. You got enough people in your life to inspire you. You got enough people that are not doing well in your life to make you feel good about yourself. How many of you know this? You even can use your kids as excuses why you can't have what you want. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Anybody getting this? We do this as people, and we recruit this to help us be who it is we want. I can never hire the right people. Where are all the good people out there? If you actually found the right people, you'd stop being you. So we've designed a life to live in the middle right here called our average. And here's the crazy part. I want everyone to understand right now. You can take a deep breath and understand this. You don't have to work as hard as you're working to get the life you have. You are pre-programmed to get what it is that you want. I guarantee if I went to your bank statement, if I checked your scale, if I checked your love life, well, I don't know how I would do that, but if I checked somehow, I'd find out there's a metrics. There's about a certain amount of times you do certain things in a year. There's a certain weight we have about every year. We make about the same amount of money about every year. And how many of you realize all of us live in an average? How many of you are getting this? Everybody catching on? You've got about just the same amount of active good people on a regular basis. So how do we change this? How do we shift this? And what do we do about it? Well, the first thing is, this is my parents told me. See, when I was a kid, I remember going to the Short Hills Mall. Is anybody from New Jersey? Is any New Jersey people here? Got a few Jersey, like that's where the rich people lived. And I'd ask my mom, I said, Mom, how do you get a car like that? Like it was a Lexus. We had Buicks. How many of you understand Lexus, Buick? They're not the same, not even close. So I'd say, Mom, how do you get a Lexus? She'd say, you know what, Michael? All those people are business owners. I go, how do I be a business owner? I asked the teacher how to be a business owner. You know what she said? Work hard and be a good person. Got it. I'll work hard and I'll be a good person. How many of you realize that's horrible advice? I mean, there's nothing worse than that. Work hard and be a good person. You lower your shoulder, you run into the wall, you hope you can get through it. You get a bloody shoulder, but you smile because you're nice. It's not going to get you there. We've got to learn to get what we want. We've got to learn how to get over the wall. And I'm going to tell you that our job is to break people out of the identity they currently have in their life, because here's the reason people don't buy. Your comp plan and your products are never going to motivate them. I'm sorry, folks, they're not long-term. And telling them they're going to die young, that's not going to work either. Learning how to change their identity so they identify as a winner, they identify as a product user, they identify as a person that uses on a regular basis, that's going to change things. And that's what we're after as leaders at what it is we do, helping people change their identity to update what they do so well. Then they went to the airport, you showed their ID, someone goes, it doesn't look like you, because they act different, they look different, and they make different decisions. So how do you get what it is you want? Well, number one is we've got to get over the wall. So there's a few ways to do it. Number one, work hard, push your way through the wall and hope it's going to work. How many of you want to sign up for that work hard plan? I don't. That's not my thing. Number two, we could build a ladder, learn how to build one for the next 10 years, climb over the wall. Number three, you could borrow advice and help from mentorship, people like Maria Carey, people like that, to hoist you over the wall. But here's what they really want to do instead of hoisting you, because it hurts their back. It's not easy. You could learn how to outgrow the wall so you could step over it every time you want. How do we outgrow the wall? Well, there's one simple way. And I see some faces of people I know. So if you answer the next question correctly, I know that you knew me prior because no one's ever got this right in the history of doing it. So I'm going to give an example. I'm going to give away one of my shirts, an average sucks shirt. These are prospecting machines because when you wear a shirt to the gym or around your house that says average sucks, you know what stops you? People. And they say, I like your shirt. You know who buys that? People that got enough money to buy your product because everyone else is going to look, right? And then they say, what do? Say, our company represents the highest level nutraceutical products in the world that help people recover quicker and have more energy and have less brain fog. You know, we just think that average sucks and people should feel better in life. And then you make money wearing the shirt that's yours. So here's the question. What's the one thing we do? And again, if you've worked with me prior, like Maria and everybody who's out is out, you know who you are. Like if you've seen me before, you were out. But I want you to type it in the box. What is the one thing we do more than anything all day long? Put it in the box. What do you do? And if you get it right, you get it. And I'm telling you, you're not going to get it right. Not a chance, but give it a shot. Talk. Nope. Talk, make excuses, procrastinate, do nothing. Man, Bethany sounds wonderful. Do nothing. Okay, Dirk, breathe, sleep, dream. Got it. And stop. Every one of it sounds like it, but it's not it. So when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, and you say to me, Michael, but that's what I meant. Good luck with going down to the IRS and said, I meant to send it. You still didn't send it today. You missed it. If it's not in the mailbox, you missed it. How many of you understand? Or did the extension, whatever. So all of it looks like it, but there's one thing we do more than anything else in the world. It's part of sleeping. It's part of complaining. It's part of procrastinating. It's part of everything else. And it's one simple word. It's called communicate. Now, here's what's interesting. I own something called the Human Communications Institute. Mike said somebody got it. So we're going to find out who was that person. We'll find out if we knew them prior. If they got it, we'll give it to them. And it's got to be exactly that word, communicate. And the word communicate, Mike, if you could dig up who it was, we'll find out who it is and they can do it. So the word communicate is the one thing we do. Beth, everybody give it up for Beth Meek. Beth Meek got it. The first person ever, Beth Meek. Congratulations, Beth. Awesome. So Beth, we're going to get you out a shirt. Congratulations. We're going to get it out to you. Make sure to direct message her and get her address and we will ship that out to you ASAP. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up, I own a company called the Human Communications Institute for a reason. We believe that communication is the most underdeveloped and underutilized asset that we have to getting anything we want in our lives, period. How many of you realize that if you communicated better, your kids and your relationship, it would be better? How many of you understand that? Everybody get it? It would be. Let's just get real. How many of you realize if you communicated better with you and your food, you'd stop eating that crap? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Everybody getting this? How many of you realize if you communicated better, people would buy into what you're doing? Does anybody get this? And if you communicated better, life would be easier. But most of us, we send our kids to school. We're like, here's your double organic lunchbox with everything, but we don't teach them how to deal with stuff. Like we don't teach our kids. We said, okay, just tell the bully you can't handle it. No, we've got to have an ability to communicate differently to get different results in our lives. So when I talk about communication, one of the things that I realized is our job when we first get started in the business is we got to get people fired up and we've got to get them excited because most of us have not realized where do people start when they first get started in this business. So let's talk about this for a second. Where does everybody start when they first get started? So this is going to be the trail that I'm going to take all of you down. That's going to help you all in a big way. So a lot of us think when people first get started, they start very, very excited. Like, let me give an example. Like, who could tell me the reason they got started in this business? Somebody maybe type it in the box. Does anybody want to tell me like why they think they got started? No, I'm going to tell you, it's not what you think it is. Like put the opportunity, not true. Okay, she thinks that's true, but it's not true. Make money, not true, Leslie. Health, not true. Replace income, not true. Here's why all of you got started. Very simply, you were not where you wanted to be in life. How many of you understand that? Nobody just got a $30 million raise and decided to get started in your company. If somebody just got a $30 million raise and got started in your company, they need to not get started in your company. How many of you understand it? This is too much work and too hard. You do not need to do this. We need to figure out how to get $30 million raises. How many of you understand that? Does everybody get it? That's not why they got started. If they just invented the perfect product in the world that does the same thing, that's not why they get started. The biggest reason people get started in this business is they're not where they want to be in their life. And I want you to think about this for a second. Most of us do not realize we are trying to add, I'm going to jump a lot of subjects at once right now. We are trying to drug people. So what we're doing is we're taking people and we're offering them something called dopamine, which is getting them super, super excited. We're showing them the products. We're showing them the videos. We're showing them the testimonials. We're showing them the comp plan. We're getting them super excited. But this person is in a little bit of despair. And our job is to get them to the first level of this business, which is a little something called hope. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. What if I said our job at the beginning is to offer people hope? Think about that. We got a whole bunch of people in the world that are distraught. They're worried about the economy. They're worried about what's going on. They're worried about gas prices. They're worried about all kinds of things. They're worried about their future. They're worried about their kids going to college, whatever it is. Our job is to take people from despair and offer them some level of hope. So if you ever wondered, like, how many of you ever had anybody like disappear? So they were so into this and then they just got in the witness protection program. Anyone ever had that before? They disappeared, right? Here's why. Hope is dopamine. It's a 45-minute high. It's something that Starbucks sells you on a regular basis. And because you buy it on a regular basis, Starbucks said, these people keep on getting high. How do we get them to the next level of play? Well, here's what they realized. You get hope from it. You get excited about the opportunity. And then what happens very simply is 45 minutes later, it goes away. Maybe 3 days later, it goes away, and you're back in despair again. Our job is to get people past hope to something called belief. But let me tell you where belief comes from. Belief comes from believing we can actually do something. And that is a drug that everyone needs to understand. It's a different type of drug, and it's not oxytocin. It's the drug that we get, serotonin. It's the feeling we get. We're proud of the decision that we made. Now, I want to tell you, most of us are not really good at making people proud of what they do. We're excited for them. We tell them it's exciting. We're proud of them. But many people have never said this: Jim, you should be proud of yourself for what you're doing right now. And I want you to think about this for a second. When you look someone in the eyes and said, very simply, like I'll look at Tanya right now, or Tanya, depending on how she says it, either way, it's the same person. And I said to Tanya or Tanya, and I very simply said, Tanya, I just want to commend you right now. You should be proud of you that you even scheduled this meeting to do this today. Very few people have the courage to take their life in their own hands. How many of you realize that's recruiting 101? How many of you get that ding, ding, ding? Anybody getting what I just did? Anybody catching on? But that's not what we're doing. We're saying it's exciting and it's amazing and it's great. She's been waiting for her mom to tell her good job for 35 years. This is what we do. How many of you realize we can replace the thing that's been missing in their brain? And that's when the oxytocin leaks. When we get them from despair to hope to belief to what all of us are after is something called faith. Faith in the opportunity, faith in the product, faith in themselves, the belief that this can happen and they can get what it is they want. So how do we get faith in people? How do we get people to believe? We need to change what it is that we're doing. So I'll give you a couple of examples real quick that I believe will help a lot of you out. That's going to get you to understand things. And I'm going to jump all over the place. So how many of you are learning right now? Is anybody learning? If you are, say I am. Anybody learning? If you are, that's great. If not, I'm learning, and that's great. I'm just happy I'm here because I'm learning. But the point is, what a lot of us do is we ask people to do things, but we don't use the opportunity to get them deeper into what's going on. So when I first got started in direct sales, I'd always recommend books to people, certain books that I like. How many of you like to read? Anybody like to read? And like, Michael, does it on Audible? Yes, my book's coming out on Audible. But let me just tell you, you get a 20 times greater gain reading than Audible. Audible's backup plan for a book. Physical books versus Kindles shouldn't be on Kindle. Bad for the brain. It's okay to do, not recommended. Physical, tactile books, read the books in your eyes, out your mouth, physically touch it, works better. So what I used to do with people is I'd recommend a book to them when they first got started. Here's how I found my winners. I'd say, listen, go to Barnes and Nobles, go buy this book, whatever it was I recommended, right? If they bought it, I said, go read 10 pages, call me when you get to page 10 and read me the first word on the top of the line. They'd read it to me. Got it. I got a winner. Then what I would do is I would then say, this seems like a winner. I would then find a book I love. Like, I would find books that I love reading, like, I don't know, like The Greatest Miracle in the World, Og Mandino. And I'd go to like page 31 of the book. And right here in the binding, I'd write, call me when you get here. Only leaders get this far. And I put my phone number in there and I close the book. And then I'd write in the front, I'd say, Maria, I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. We're going to do incredible things together. I said together, didn't I? And I mail them the book. If they read 31 pages and they call me, I got a winner. How many of you understand? I don't tell them it's there. I got a winner. And this is what we need to do. And then they're looking for Easter eggs. How many of you had kids looking? They're still looking for Easter eggs. Maybe there's one more out there. We need to bring enthusiasm and excitement into people's lives because they're bored. And if you make them boring, they're going to go to Instagram and find something else. How many of you are getting this? If you are, ding, ding, ding. Anybody catching on? Making sense. So the point is, we've got to bring up our game. So the one thing I'll tell you is, like, you might say, like, Michael, what stops most people from succeeding? Why do most people not get what they want? I see some young kids on, so pay attention, young kids. Everybody needs to know what I'm about to tell you next. I've worked with everything from getting kids that were level 3 tennis to becoming starting tennis, to get them their scholarship at Berkeley, to getting kids into major colleges that they wanted to get into, to being the last voice UFC fighters here, to helping major speakers get over their phobias and issues and problems, crazy things. And Charles Barkley's wife looking to talk to me about teaching her husband how to play golf better. I don't know if I can help with that, but I met her on a plane and she goes, maybe he can get his golf swing better. I heard that's impossible, but I bet I can if we work that out. But the point is, most of us don't know what stops most people from succeeding. And we're going to play a little game here right now. How many of you would like to know why people stop before they get started? Like, why you tell yourself you're going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to run, and for whatever reason, it's mind over mattress and the mattress kicks your ass. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And yes, I cursed. I'm from New Jersey. I watch Sopranos a lot, and my wife's Italian. It just comes out. Okay. So the point is, I want to share this with you. So there's two things that stop most people from getting what they want. And I'm going to use the terms the drug companies use. Do you know why I use those terms? Because they spend a lot of money on marketing and they're good at what they do. So they've come up with some really big words: depression, which stops people, and anxiety. So what depression is that feeling you get when you feel off. How many of you ever felt off before? Anybody? It's amazing how good they are at marketing. A person has a bad day. You're depressed. They had a bad day. Now they're depressed. Okay. They link the two things together. They're masters of this. Anxiety is the feeling like, I've been involved with LifeVantage for 3 days. Where's my check? How many of you have felt this one before? Like, where's my check? Right? Like, it's been 3 days. Where's my freaking check? Right? So what stops people from succeeding? Well, here's what I know. When you're not on, guess what, folks? You're off. Does anybody realize that when you're not on, what are you? You're off. It's very simple. When you're not on, you're off. So how many of you, I'm going to scroll the screen, have ever had a bad day? Has anyone ever had a bad day? Bad day. Come on. Let's not do the like positive thinking thing and Norman Vincent Peale and I'm positive. Like, I know Greg and Anita have had a bad day. I'm looking at them like they've had one. Okay. So I want you to think about a time you had a bad day. And I'm not a gambler. I live like Maria and I live near casinos. They're everywhere here where we live. Like every corner, there's a casino, right? But it's like Vegas Light here in Scottsdale, right? In Paradise Valley, same thing. Boom. And what's interesting about this is, if I were to go to the casino and there was a 95% chance that I was going to get the number I picked, I'd be betting all day long. I would never leave the casino. So I bet on this. One thing I'm going to tell you is that I already know what your answer is going to be. I want you to think of the last time you had a bad day. And I want you to finish my sentence for me. Go ahead and finish this for me. Think about the last time you had a bad day. I bet you were saying something like this to yourself. Why is this happening to, type it in the box? Isn't that amazing? Everybody says me. Isn't that amazing? We all do it because the number one reason people don't have what they want, and they don't make their business work they want it to be, is they're focused on their problem. If I can only find better people, if I can only prospect, if people just wanted the product, if the comp plan would change, if this, if that, if this, because some of you are like, but Michael, that's not me, man. I'm part of Maria's team. I'm positive. I get it. You're a life coach. You live in Sedona. You rub crystals. I get it. You're probably a very nice person. I understand. Married 9 times and you're a relationship coach. How many of you know that person? You might even be here on the phone, on the Zoom right now. You know who you are. You're married 9 times and you're a relationship coach. I got it. You're good at relationships. No one ever said you're good at being married. You're good at relationships. Lots of them, right? And you're like, Michael, I'm positive. And I also am going to tell you you're selfish, because I think the most selfish people in the world are the ones that give everything to everyone else and nothing to themselves. My mentor, this guy, Jim Rohn up here, that's the guy that took me under his wing when I was young. Anyone heard of Jim Rohn? Jim was like the OG gangster of all of this stuff. Like I met him when I was 18 years old, took me under his wing, taught me all kinds of stuff. He'd appreciate a lot of this conversation right now. We're straight talk, he would call it. And the biggest reason I recognize people don't get what they want is they're focused on their problems and not on solutions. How many of you realize that we need to understand that solutions are what we're offering people? How many of you realize we're in the solving people's challenge issue business? And if the approach you're using isn't working, we need to get better approaches. I'll explain why right now. Because the second reason we don't get what we want is this. Here's why people quit. They don't feel like they're getting anywhere. How many of you realize that when you're out for a run, you're very motivated? I've never met a depressed person running. Is that possible? No, it's impossible, because you got the drugs dripping in your body and you're happy, the serotonin because you're proud of yourself, and the dopamine because you're excited and you're fired up what's going on. I never met anyone in the middle of 25 push-ups worried about their mortgage. No, they're not, because they're moving forward. So our job is we need to create movement for people to get them to change. And most of us are not apt to get them to feel like they're getting somewhere, and telling them they should be proud of themselves, and letting us know we're proud of them, and telling them they're making reasonable progress in a short amount of time. This is what we need to be doing as leaders. How many of you recognize this is not a business issue? It's not a marketing issue. It's not an economy issue. It's a personal development issue that all of us need to get better at what it is that we're doing. How many of you would agree who you are currently gets you the business you have, and a little hard work gets your business about 5% better? Overriding who you are to becoming more of you're capable of, that's going to make a difference. I'll give you the best phrase somebody said to me, pissed me off too. How many of you got mad and I got an answer? Like, I got mad. This guy looks at me, he goes, how tall are you? I go, I'm 6'6". He goes, you probably should start acting like it. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you play your life like you're 5'10". He goes, there's nothing wrong with 5'10". 5'10 is great if you're 5'10", but if you're 6'6" and you play 5'10", you're 6-7 inches shorter than you should be. How many of you understand what I just said? Most of us are playing our lives 6 or 8 inches shorter than we're capable. You know it. I know it. The question is, everyone knows it. Your mom knows it. Everyone knows it. God knows it. You know it. The question is, are you going to do anything about it? So funny. People go to church on Sunday, temple on Saturday. Maybe you do both. But instead of like going and repeating these things, don't you think it'd be better off doing what they recommend we do? Does anybody think that's smarter? Like, I think they're waiting. They're like, do you mind doing the work? Because I'm sick of you talking about it, because there's other people that legitimately need help. How many of you realize this very simple statement? I'm not going to get religious right now, but I'm going to say it like this. Sin comes from the Old Testament, which means to miss the mark. Do you know the worst thing we can do while we're here on earth is to live below our potential? Because we're not only harming ourselves, we're being poor examples for others. How many of you understand that? Ding, ding, ding. Anybody catching on? Are you guys getting this? We need to play bigger if we want to get it. And you can fact check me too. Go call Facebook, they'll fact check me. But the point is why this is important to bring up is we've got to figure out what motivates people. So I got about 20 minutes left, and I want to go through this very quickly. What really motivates people is to figure out what their driving forces are. So how many of you have ever set goals before in your life? How many of you have set goals? Anybody ever set goals? Set goals? Okay. How many of you got like big old goals? Like big old goals? I got big goals. Anybody got a dream board? I mean, after tonight, you'll rip your dream board off the wall. You're going to realize how useless it is in a minute. And I'll explain why in a minute. But that's not a dream board. That's a decision wall. That's different. Maria's got a decision wall. It's not a dream board. It's a decision wall. Those are choices she's making. But let's just say I called LifeVantage and I said, listen, guys, I called the corporate office. I said, listen, give me names of 100 people, all walks of life, all ages, ethnicities, colors, creeds, religions, levels in the company. Give me 100 names. And I took all 100 of those people and I said, what do you want? And I got lists of goals and lists of things. And I said, here's how we're going to get it. We're going to sell and we're going to recruit and we're going to go do it. And I said, you got 6 months to hit your target. Here's what's crazy. 6 months later, all the people come back and they meet back at my office with a simple plan of go do it. Like Nike, go do it. You know what happened? About 3% of them would hit their goals. So why is it that 3% of people do it? So I'm thinking to myself, what did you do, Mr. 3% that did it, Mrs. 3%? I did this. What did you 97 do? They did the same thing. So I said, okay, let's teach them 3 that did it what you did. You know what's crazy? The 3 that did it, they taught the 97%, gave them 6 more months. 6 months later, they came back. Guess what? Still nobody succeeded anymore. What's wrong? You know what they need? They need subliminal tapes. So I make subliminal tapes. And guess what? 6 months later, they still don't do it. Here's why. Telling somebody to go do something and firing them up is the most outdated concept that all of us need to understand. I want you to realize what motivates people. And I said it earlier, and I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. 3% of the population are motivated by what's called decide and do. Just doing it. Being like my parents, when they said they're going to do it, they did it. How many of you know people like that? They said they just didn't say much, but if they were going to do it, they did it. 97% of the world are motivated by this, waiting for things to get bad enough, and then they change. I'm going to prove this to you right now because most of us don't recognize what makes people change. I want you to understand that none of you got started in this business because you didn't get started in this business because everything was great in your life. You got started because there was a problem. You decided to take your health seriously. I use your products because I'm 45 years old. I play hockey 5 days a week and I want to recover. Do you guys understand? My skin's not getting any less wrinkled. Do you guys understand? Like I need something. Do you understand? I'm not rubbing it like my 10-year-old's not putting it on her face. It's not her thing right now. Do you understand? So I literally have a reason for using what it is you have, but I have a problem. Most people don't want to admit this. So I'll give you an example. If I went to your refrigerator and I put a picture of like your goal, like your perfect body, and I said, spring break body 2022, you're probably still going to eat the cheesecake. How many of you understand this? But let's say I made a picture of you like really big, superimposed it, like made you look like 975 pounds, made you look like a sumo wrestler. And I put it in your fridge and I said, chubby people eat here. I promise you'd get the broccoli. How many of you know what I'm saying? You would, you would. If I took a picture of your bank account and I put it in the fridge and said, same account in 10 years, you'd probably do something different. But if I put a picture of $10 million, it's not going to move you. And here's why. People are not motivated by, and we just aren't attracted to the positive. We make decisions when things go wrong. We are designed that way. So when you're driving down the freeway, it's not a negative thing. It's something I want you to understand. And you look at a car wreck, here's why you look at it. It's not that you're negative and you're not a bad person. You don't need to repent for your sins. Here's why you look at the car wreck. Very simple reason. Because your brain says, I don't want that to happen to me. Memorize the entire thing so that doesn't happen to me. How many of you realize if positivity worked, the news would be using it? How many of you are getting this? Everybody catching on? So what we need to do is we've got to become masters of using this. So what we need to do, instead of using like dream boards, we'd be better off with a nightmare board. How many of you understand that? Like a nightmare board would be very beneficial. Every one of you should be like, what's my nightmare? My kids growing up and meeting someone else that motivates them. That's not me because I couldn't offer them what I wanted. I went to Metallica. My wife sent me to Front Row Metallica. I don't know if any of you like Metallica, but I got to see Metallica Front Row. I'm a kid of the 80s, right? And there's this song I love. So I looked up after what the song meant. Couldn't believe it. Song Hero of the Day. It's about kids having to look at the TV and out the window to look for a leader because they can't find one in their parents. How many of you understand what I just said? Yeah, amazing. Why am I telling you this right now? We need to create leaders in this world, and we've got to step up to be able to do these things. So how do we create shifts in our lives? Well, one of those is we've got to realize what really motivates people. I'm not saying walk the earth negative, but what we need to recognize, people love to complain. How many of you would agree people love to complain? Anybody realize people love to complain? So I let them do it. So I'd say, have you noticed as you get older, you have less energy? They say yes. What are some of the things that are harder to do? They tell me. And when they tell me there's stuff that's harder to do, I would say, you know what's amazing? It doesn't have to be that way. Really? It doesn't? Yeah, we got products that make it easier to do that. So I've learned a magic line that I'm going to give all of you right now. And you can tell me if you want this. This is responsible for recruiting about a couple of thousand people in my life myself. Does anybody want it? It's easy to give you. Everyone can have it. And number two, it's responsible for about 20 to 30,000 people joining companies. And I'm going to give it to you right now. And here's the line. It's very, very simple. And I'm going to play a little game. So I'm going to call on somebody to unmute. I'm going to call on, I'm going to call on Marilyn Mosier. Marilyn, you just got called on. So unmute yourself, Marilyn. Are you out there, Marilyn? Can you unmute? Are you capable?
Yes.
The giggle. She started with the giggle. I love it. So Marilyn, let me ask you a question. You just decide for everybody. Can we go 15 more minutes? Is that okay? Are we okay with 15 minutes or so? Is that yes or no? That's not my question, but
Yes.
Is it okay, Marilyn? Okay, very good. And if not, everyone can hang up. That's fine. Marilyn, I don't care at all. Like, how many of you recognize if you cared less, you'd make more money? How many of you understand that? Most of you care so much that it causes problems for you. You know, Buddha even said, like, I study all religions because it's important. And Buddha says your pain comes from caring way too much about things you shouldn't care about. And most people care what other people think. Stop caring what people think. Just be a kind person. But that's not my question. So, Marilyn, what's not perfect in your life yet?
My bank account.
Very good. So when I say what's not perfect in your life yet presupposes things can get better. Think about that question. Really? Okay. So if you had more money, that would be helpful, correct?
Yes.
Is your bank account broken? Is there a hole in it?
No, but we have, some debts that I want to pay off.
Got it. So you're not making enough money.
Right.
Got it. So if you were making more, now, people make money when they communicate better, right?
Right.
So if your communication got better, more people would get enrolled. If more people got enrolled, you'd have more cash, correct?
Correct.
And then your bank account would be different.
Yep.
Okay, so your problem isn't your bank account. Your challenge is you haven't learned how to communicate in a way that would produce the ability for someone to open up their purse or take out their wallet, take their credit card out, hand it to you, and get involved more often, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. How many of you are getting this? Does everybody understand the clarity here? So if you imagined everybody you were talking to was sitting on their wallet and we had to communicate in a way they could just lean a little bit to the left, pull the wallet out and go, do you guys understand? That's the part most of us are missing. So your issue isn't your issue. Your challenge is something called communication. Why did Maria decide to work with us? Because she wants to become a better communicator. How many of you realize if your communication doesn't grow, your business is only going to be what it's capable of being? How many of you understand that? If you do, say I do. So people say, but Michael, I can never get people to show up. Okay. Well, are you asking them to? This is a simple thing. So Ms. Mosher, I'm going to put you back on mute, but thank you for stepping up. Thank you. Okay. So the next thing I'd say is people say but Michael, how come they just don't show up to the appointment? Because you don't use psychology. I like to say this, it's a C word. And the C word is very, very simple. It's called commit. Can you commit to being there? It's amazing how well that word works. Think about it. It evokes something called guilt inside people. How many of you grew up with Irish guilt, Catholic guilt, Jewish guilt, Italian guilt? There's LDS guilt, there's Mormon guilt, there's Scientology guilt. There's guilt for everyone. How many of you understand? So our job, I don't really want to pull guilt on people, but we have to ask people to commit. How many of you understand that? What do we got to ask people to do? To what? To commit. Say, the meeting's at 3:00. Can you commit to being there? How hard is it? Everybody say the word commit. Can you commit to that? Okay. You're just so excited. They said hi. They're like, oh my God, they like me. You're like that girl I asked out that said I was cute when I was a kid. I thought she was into me. When you get called cute and anything after 3rd grade, that's a death sentence. Do you understand? As a guy, you never want to be cute. You want to be hot. You want to be sexy. You never want to be cute. How many of you understand? Like, ladies, you don't want to call a guy cute. Cute's like, oh, you're puppy dog, right? So you get excited about things you don't want to get excited about. So the key is we want to be able to learn how to become a better communicator. So if I were to pull out of Maria and say, Carrie, Maria, what makes you so successful? How many of you would agree they communicate differently? Anybody getting this? It isn't even what they say. It's how they say what they say. There's another piece of the puzzle I'm going to give you right now. Very important. So I'm going to play a little game here right now. So I'm going to call on Janet Hammond. Janet, are you able to unmute Janet? Janet, are you there, Janet? Very good. I see someone else wants to go. Hi, Janet. How are you?
Sorry. Yes,
So Janet,
I'm good.
very good. Where are you from, Janet?
Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Very good. I got all my Oilers jerseys over here, back here. Mark Messier was my hero. I don't know if you know Mark, but
I sure do.
yep, Wayne, and I'm a hockey player. So these are the guys I roll with. But I'm going to ask you a question. Say the word no to me in very Canadian voice. Nope. Nope.
No, eh?
And I'm part Canadian too. So say no.
No.
It's pretty easy to say, isn't it? Say it again like you mean it.
No.
Now say the word yes.
Yes.
Say it again.
Yes.
Now, in Canada, which is bigger, no or yes, in the amount of letters it is?
Yes.
Yes is bigger. So yes is harder, isn't it? So when you walk into a store, you go into Timmy's and they go, can I help you with something? No, I'm just looking. Right? And what's amazing, Timmy, is Timmy Hortons Donuts, and most of you don't know what that is. But the point is, when she walks in, our natural reaction is to say what to people? No. How many of you would agree we have a natural tendency to say no? Does everybody get it? We do. So why do we want to get people to say yes? So she's a kind, nice, there's only a few things to do in Canada in the winter. There's sit inside because it's snowing, hockey, church, and hockey. That's all you get, right? There's the Oilers, there's hockey, and there's church. And that's it. Okay. But the point is, I'll ask you a question right now. So let me ask you this very simple question, Janet. Janet, if I could show you a way to have more energy and make a couple dollars, is there any reason you would not want to hear about it?
No, there's no reason I don't want to.
Okay, good. There's no reason. Good. So can we talk next week for a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
You just said no to me, nice little Canadian lady. You just said no to me, and you just gave me a meeting. How many of you understand this? I'll do it in slow motion. If we could meet next week, if I could show you a way that you can have more energy and feel like you're 16 again, is there any reason you would not want to hear about it? And everybody's going to say, what, folks? No. And you say, great. When can we meet? And I'm just kidding right now. But the whole point is why I'm doing it in slow motion. I could say, listen, if I could show you a way to make an extra $300 to $500 a month, so you could buy more Apple stock for like month after month with only working 1 or 2 months. How many of you would be, is there any reason you would not want to hear about it? No, I'd love to hear about it. Great. When can we meet? How many of you realize we need to get people to say no? There's 2 things we need to do. People need to admit they have a problem in order to solve it. This is common stuff, folks. I work for like those commercials on TV that get you to say, have you noticed as you get older, you have less energy? Have you noticed that your body doesn't look like it did at 18? And this is where your head goes. I am purchased for a large amount of money to get you to go like this. And if you notice that it's not getting easier to get to the gym, then we'll bring the gym to you. And they pay me a lot of money to write that stuff. How many of you understand? What we do is we isolate the problem, we offer a solution. But all of us, we think we're too good because we got a great product. We're going to skip that part of it. And we're just going to offer them a solution. How many of you realize 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? My wife was trying to teach me the 8 count with dancing. I still don't get it, but I do know the 2 count of offering the product. Offer a problem, then offer a solution. How many of you are getting this right now? If you are, say I am. Everybody getting this? Okay. People say to me sometimes, let me give you an example, Janet. I'm going to do one more thing, and then I'm going to go like 10, 12 minutes, and then I'll call it a day. And you guys can always do what you're going to do, but we're going to make it worthwhile. So I'm going to call on, there was somebody like had this yes sign, and you kept on yesing me and everything. Who was that? You had like, it was going off. Yeah. So Marisa, is it Marissa?
No, you said it right the first time. It's Marisa.
Great.
Like
Marisa. I'm going to call you M. Okay, very good. So M, let me help you. M&M. So let me help you real quick. Are you ready? Let me ask you a simple question. Has anyone ever told you the product's expensive?
Yes.
Yeah. Respond to me. So it's expensive. What do you say to me when I say that?
It's really expensive for that.
No. I'm going to tell you it's expensive. What are you going to tell me? So I'm going to say it's expensive. I don't know. I got a budget and blah, blah, blah. So what would you say to me?
Expensive to what?
To buy.
It's kind of hard. In compared to what? In compared to what? Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, the problem with that is you're going to confuse me. So when someone says it's expensive.
Well, I usually say expensive to your health. It's kind of hard to put
I got something better so you don't have to fight with them, because a lot of us,
you.
we fight with people. How many of you recognize we have to stop fighting with people? We have to start arguing. We have to, like, no one got converted, period, in 2020 politically. 0 people on all online. We have predispositions in our lives. Nobody got recruited by your posts on Facebook. How many of you understand? Nobody. Okay, Alberta does what Alberta does, and Toronto does what Toronto does, period. But the point is, am I right, smiley face? You know what I mean, Janet? So tell me it's expensive.
Say that again.
Tell me it's expensive.
It's expensive.
It is. It's expensive.
I would say something like, I totally see why you might say that. The reason is I just acknowledged you. And I'd say, actually, it's the going rate for what it does. What it is it's not expensive, it's unexpected. And the reason I'm going to say this is, if I would have met you 5 or 7 years ago, you might not have needed it, correct? But I didn't. And I apologize that we haven't met yet, but it's unexpected. You just didn't know that you were going to be 52 years old and need more energy, did you? It's unexpected. You just didn't plan for it. How many of you understand this? Ding, ding, ding. Everybody getting this? And the problem is you're selling the wrong thing. Here's how I know you're selling the wrong thing. Years ago, and I'm going to go on a little bit. Maria, am I okay for a few more minutes? Maria, are we good? Okay, I'm just going to do my thing. My kids, they're doing their thing tonight. They're at the rink right now because I'm a good Canadian. They're at the rink. Okay, figure skating. But the point is, I had this gym that I was working with. Like, how many of you got kids that you have in sports? Anybody got kids in sports? Okay. So let's pick a sport that's like a club that you got to pay for. Dance. Who's got a kid in dance or a kid in martial arts? Just raise your hand. Anybody got one of those? Okay. So Jolene Miller, unmute yourself. Eminem, I'll see you in a minute. Okay. So Jolene, what's your kid in?
I have a son in karate and a daughter.
Very good. What are you paying for karate?
What we're paying?
Yep.
$189 a month.
Sounds expensive, doesn't it?
A little.
Okay. So watch me be able to charge you $1,000 a month for the same service. You guys want to see this? So when somebody calls the gym, pay attention. This is everything to do with your business. Someone says, how much is it? You know what I say? When someone asks you, how many of you have been asked, how much is this program? How many of you have been asked?
Wow.
Here's the response. Wrong question. What's the response? Wrong question. I say right to their face, wrong question. And then I'm going to say, better than answer that, what would you like it to do? So with the gym, I would turn around and I'd say, they'd say, I don't know, I got this and that. It's okay. So Jolene, here's what our company does. We are a relationship-based company. Because isn't this a relationship-based company? Would you guys agree this is relationship-based? I would say this.
Very much.
We are a relationship-based company that works together with you and your family to help raise your child to live an incredible life. We're looking to build the next level of leaders, and we work directly with your family to help your child not only build confidence, get attention, do well in school, but eventually be a next leader in society and work towards, getting those scholarships down the road. So our program is $250 a week. We are not a gym. In the karate is over here. What we do is we help develop your child and we work directly with your family. How many of you would pay $1,000 for what I just said? I'd pay $1,000 for that to work directly with my kid. How many of you understand this? You got to change what you do. So when someone says, how much is this program? I would say, wrong question. What would you like it to do? Does everybody understand? And the reason I'd say what you'd like it to do, we are a relationship-based company that work directly with you for the next 5 years of your life to help you change your financial position. So where you are today is not where you are 5 years from now. And we work directly with you almost like a health coach to find the products you need to make your body work better. How many of you understand this? People say, well, what's in the bottles? Well, here's what's in the bottles. Do you know what the bottles do? They get your body to work the way it's supposed to. So get your body to work right so your body does what it's supposed to. That's all it does. It gets your body to work the way it's supposed to work. How many of you understand that? Ding, ding, ding. I inject NAD. Most of you don't realize you could take it here. I was spending $1,000 to go get my IV treatments on a regular basis. You guys get it for $150. Here's what's crazy. The same things crazy people like me pay $1,000 for is right in here. How many of you are getting this right now? Everybody catching on? That's how we explain this. Why am I getting excited about this? And why is this so important? Are you getting this, my friend? Jolene, is this making sense? I'm
Very
bringing
much.
this up to all of you because I want you to all understand a couple of things. How many of you to realize I have 7 million things you can say, but if you don't change your response to people and the way you respond to their questions, you are never going to change anything else. How many of you understand that? So when somebody says it's expensive, we got to be trained to say, I totally see why you might say that. When somebody says, this is hard, I totally see why you might say that. We need to learn to acknowledge people, not agree with them. It sounds like we agreed, but all we did is what, folks? We acknowledged. I got a lot of wives that are going to get mad because husbands are learning this right now on the phone. But the point is, you've got to acknowledge people for where they're at. When someone says it's hard, you could say, I totally see why you might say that. It probably is, but it doesn't have to be. We're a company that works directly with you to help you get what you want. When you use oxytocin, okay, when you use oxytocin, which is the chemical used to create a bond amongst people, it's the same thing that gangs and cults use, we can use inside of this business. It's the same thing Disney uses to connect with you and to get you obsessed with their products. How many of you understand that? It's oxytocin. It's the drug inside of us, the connection drug. We want to work with you and help you win. That doesn't get said by most people, and we need to get better at this. So when I talk about the things, like if I were to talk about Maria right now, and I'm going to close down shop here in about 6 minutes, I would say, Carrie, Maria, all the leaders in the company, anybody on stage making the big checks. How many of you would be okay with making a medium check and still getting up on stage? How many of you like a medium check? Is anybody, how many of you would like to just go to sushi and not care about the price? How many of you would like that? Anybody want that? How many of you would like an extra $3,000, $4,000 a month, wipe out your mortgage and not have a mortgage payment ever again? How many of you would love that? Anybody want that? How many of you would like to stay for 3 to 5 more days, wherever it is you want to go and not care? Does anybody want it? There's only 4 things you need to do, and none of them have to do with the company. I spent time, Maria and I talked the other day on the phone for quite a bit. And I looked at her and I'm saying to my son to look on the phone because that would be weird to look through the phone. But I know her now and I see there's a few things that she does that she's mastered. Number one is she is a very committed person. How many of you would agree she's committed? Would you guys agree? Some of you think you have a commitment issue. Nobody would be on a Zoom right now with a commitment issue. You do not have a commitment issue. You have a congruency issue. You do not do what you say you're going to do. How many of you realize if we did what we said we were going to do, even if it's as simple as I'm going to introduce the program to 2 people more this month than I normally do? How many of you realize if you did what you said you were going to do more often, you would feel better about you and you'd get farther in this world? How many of you recognize you do not have a commitment issue? You're fully committed. You are so committed, so passionate. You're sweating because you're nervous. You're spitting because you're excited, but you're drowning in a passion puddle. Stop being passionate and start being congruent. I will take less passionate people for a person that does what they say they're going to do any day of the week. How many of you are getting this? Everybody catching on? Number 2, we need to become better communicators. Maria's a great communicator. Why did she set up this? Listen, folks, if you ever need to do a Zoom and have hundreds of people live and hundreds of people watch later, you got to be a good communicator. Every one of you have got to become a better communicator. This is your warning. If you want to dominate in the world we live in now, the greatest companies in the world are all communication companies, or they have marketing and advertising firms attached to them, period. Do you understand that? Period. That's it. They're all communications companies. You're not going to either going to become a great communicator or you're going to lose. Number 4 is you're going to have to become more confident. How many of you would agree that your confidence has a lot to do with your business? Well, Michael, I'm already confident. Like, I'm looking at people, I see Chad and Stephanie right now. Oh, I'm already confident. Great. I'm glad you're confident at tennis. Has nothing to do with this business. I'm glad you're confident at karate. Has nothing to do with this business. I'm glad you're confident at what you could do late night, but has nothing to do with this business. Do you understand? You know what this business is about? Being confident at the moves that it takes to make this work. How many of you would agree if you do not elevate all 4 of those things, you get what you currently have, you get your average. And here's the reason I wrote the book, Average Sucks. So here's the deal. You are never going to be happy living inside your average, and you're never going to be happy being like other people. So it is committed, communication, confidence, and congruency. Doing what you say you're going to do, that's going to make a difference. So I'm going to share one little story with you that I love to share at the end of this, and I'll bring it back to Maria. We can answer questions, and I got a few more minutes. I could stick around afterwards. And I got one story that's going to help you out a lot here, and I want everyone to listen. How many of you have ever had a severely bad day? Anyone ever had a really bad day? Super bad day? This dude had like the trifecta. Business went under, wife passed away, his kid got sick, doesn't get worse, like a country song. And I remember hearing this story about this guy. So this guy decided to run from his problems and took his child out to Alaska, where they had a really good surgeon that could help. His kid got well, his 2 children, lived in the middle of nowhere, and decided to hide from what was going on. How many of you would agree running and hiding is never an answer? Would you guys agree? You got to face this stuff head on. If you look in the mirror and go, my business is not where I want it to be, you got to face it head on. This guy was not facing it head on. And one day it started to snow real bad, because that's what happens in Alaska. You can't get shocked if you move to Alaska and it snows. That's what happens in Alaska. It snows. You go to Hawaii, you don't get snow. This guy goes to Alaska and it snows. Snows on the same day his heater goes out. How many of you would agree? That's what happens to people that are negative. A lot of bad things. So he walks up to the heater, taps it, doesn't work, calls the 800 number, doesn't work, tries to fix it himself. Brother-in-law can't fix it. Nothing works. He wraps his kids in blankets, puts them to bed, hoping that that's going to make the big difference. He gets all mad that night, sits down, and this is years ago, at the dining room table, and he sits down on a phone book. How many of you remember what a phone book was? Do you guys remember that? He's like a big thick thing. Do you guys remember the phone book, right? And he throws it on the floor. He's like, damn phone book. And he looks at it, and on the floor, it says, he's looking at it. He goes, Magic Plumber. I also do HVAC and heating. And he goes, this is weird. I know I watched that movie, The Secret, but this is weird, right? Like, it just opened. There's no way it'll work. Negative guy. Picks it up, puts it down, stares at it. He goes, I'll give it a call. And he picks up the phone, starts dialing. He's like, hello, Magic Plumber. Can I help you? He goes, yeah, I got a heater. It's broken. The guy goes, would you like me to fix it? He goes, well, I don't know if you can. How many of you have met people like this? I know you say you can, but what if it doesn't work for me? I know it worked for them. I know it healed this person. I know it alleviated this. Why do you think you can help me? Well, I don't know. I mean, it could work. It might work. It should work. I don't know. He's like, would you like me to help you? Well, I don't know. My brother-in-law came over. He couldn't fix it. Why do you think you can? I can help you if you let me, the Magic Plumber says. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you think you can, maybe it can. I don't know. I mean, well, come over. Fine. Whatever. Arms crossed. How many of you have recruited somebody, got them in the business with their arms crossed, and they stayed that way? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Prove it, right? We have to get their arms open so they can hug somebody. How hard would the hug be? Like, that's a weird hug, right? So the guy comes over 5 minutes later, knocks on the door. He goes, Magic Plumber, I'm here to help you. He's like, how'd you get here so quick? I'm a Magic Plumber. That's what I do. I move quick. He goes, do you want me to fix the heater? Do you really think you can fix it? There's the arguing again. How many of you realize when you argue with an arguer, there's 2 fools arguing? Does everybody get it? You argue with an arguer, there's 2 fools, and you're one of them, right? So he goes, listen, man, I showed up. Why don't you show me the heater and then I can decide? Isn't that a better move? He got downstairs. Now he's in, right? So he looks at the heater and he goes, do you want me to fix it? He goes, I don't know if you can. Do you want me to fix it? I do. So he walks up to the heater and he reaches in his toolkit, and he's seen heaters before. flips open a panel, turns the screw a little bit, and the heater turns on. The guy goes, that's amazing. How did you do it? He goes, I flipped the panel, I turned the screw. He goes, but how did you do it? He goes, okay, I'll slow it down. I flipped the panel, I turned the screw. He goes, but how did you do it? He goes, I just did it. He goes, it's amazing, gives him a hug. Now the arms are open. He's happy because he did thing for him. Because how many of you realize angry people just need a hug, but you got to get them to open their arms first, okay? And the guy goes, all right, I'll give you the bill. So he writes the bill and he hands it over to the guy and it's $500. He's been there 6 minutes. How many of you got that bill recently? Inflation, $6, 6 minutes, $500. He goes, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. You're like the price of an attorney. He goes, give me an itemized receipt. So he goes, no problem. I'll give him an itemized receipt. So he gives him an itemized receipt and the guy starts giggling and pays the $500. And he gives him the itemized receipt. Here's what it said. Opening panel, turning the screw, $5. Knowing which screw to turn, $495. How many of you recognize you just need to know which screw to turn? I've never asked anybody to do the $500 job. I ask people to do the $5 job, the $10 job. I just need you to do what I recommend that you do. And if you do it, it works. Here's what's funny. Somebody like, how does this going to work? Because I don't know. I've used this to, I don't know, earn like $100 million in sales for myself. I've helped companies make billions of dollars. Seems to work for them. I think it'll work for you, bringing in 3 extra people. So the reason is we need to know which screw to turn. And for the majority of you, the biggest screws that we need to turn right now is we need to become more decisive people, help people make decisions, help people become better communicators, and help people become more confident. How many of you would agree if we don't figure that out, we lose? How many of you understand that? We have too great of an opportunity right now for 2 reasons. Incredible company, incredible comp plan, incredible product, period. Incredible leadership. That's one thing. And folks, you can watch a million Zooms with me. I would not say that outside of this company. Very few companies I'm going to say that with. You guys, I can say that. The second thing is the timing in the world right now. There's never been a more screwed up time economically to offer people an opportunity than right now, this minute, all over the globe. How many of you are getting this right now? Everybody getting this? Is this making sense? So the timing is paramount with what it is we're doing, but I don't need to sell you on being in the opportunity. I need to sell you on the idea of making it work. So when Maria and I first met, Tara Wilson introduced us a couple of weeks ago and we got introduced on a call. And I decided to do something that I do not do on a regular basis. I am not a cheap date. Okay. I'm very expensive. People rent me all the time. And I am not, but I mean not a cheap date. I'm a fortune. I'm like college tuition for 10 to 15 hours of my time to meet with for a few hours of my time. But about 20 years ago, I developed something that I believe will excite all of you. How many of you would love to have me on your team to work with you to come to your next meetings? How many of you would love that? Anyone want me to do your meeting for you? I'm just joking. I'm not really going to do it. But how many of you would like me in here? So the things that I said came out of your mouth and you said them better and you were more effective and you did the things you needed to do. How many of you would love that? Would anybody want that? I want that for you. So 20 years ago, 19 to be exact, it'll be 20 next April, I invented something called Call to Action. It's 5 days working with me from the comfort of your home, kicking your butt, holding your hand, and getting these ideas inside of your head, not just business, becoming incredible communicators. And Maria, she could be skeptical on this stuff times. She became unskeptical very quickly. And the reason she's skeptical is not in a negative way. She vets things before she got started. She was on every call, dialed in, paying attention, doing what needed to get done. And it was never boring. So how many of you would like to work with me? We could start in May, start in a couple of weeks. We get together, kick your butt, hold your hand. And here's the promise. You'll get more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. Become a better communicator. How many of you would love that? Anybody want this? So there's people watching right now and I know who you are. And here's the crazy part. You got a worse deal than I'm about to offer. And it's nuts because I never came up with this till 2020 and we decided to do this. I've been marketing this program for $600 for almost 15 years at that price. For every one of you as part of this group right now, I want to offer you a website and the ability to do this, to work with me for 5 days. It's either in the morning or the night, 5 days straight, where you got an opportunity. Starts on a Sunday, ends on a Thursday. There's a morning session and a night, and it's recorded. Soccer mom can't make it at night. Guess what? You could do the morning. Can't make it in the morning, catch the recording. We will spoil you and make this work for 5 days. I'll tell you what it does in a minute. And I'm offering all of you the ability to do this for less than, I think, a tank of gas. It's $99 to work with me. I do not need to do this. This is my commitment to LifeVantage, my commitment to Maria, Carrie, and the team, that you're going to get a chance to do this. So how many of you would like the ability to do this? We start on Sunday and I teach you how to motivate yourself and get other people rolling. How many of you would like to become a motivation machine? How many of you would love that? Anybody game on for that? If you are, say I am. You can go to the website, resultswithmichael.com. Day 2 of the program, tell me if this excites you. You're going to learn psychological trigger words to use on yourself and motivate other people. How many of you think, and these are yours permanently to use, it's okay if you spend $99 and you make $10,000. How many of you are cool with that? You guys game on? It's okay if you spend $99 and you have a better relationship with your kids. How many of you understand that? I'm cool with that. Day 3, I'm going to teach all of you the psychological principles, how to get out of your comfort zone. Resultswithmichael.com. I encourage you to go there right now. This is a good through today. This is good right now. And I got a few other things I'm going to offer you. And then the 2 other days, I'm going to teach you the skills you need to develop, how to set a plan to get where you want to go. And because I'm a nut job, I'm going to offer you 2 other things. How many of you think this is a pretty cool little thing? How about 2 audios I send you that you have to do nothing but listen to? That's binaural beats, psychological things that you listen to in the morning and night to fire you up in the morning and put you to bed at night, that teach you how to develop your confidence and talk to the part of your brain that releases serotonin. It is free to all of you. It's a $50 value. It's free. As soon as you enroll, you'll get access to it. How many of you would like that thrown in? Anybody want that? If you do, say I do. And how about prospecting for profit? How to prospect and actually make money and stop wasting time? Throwing that in for free. And on top of that, I'm also going to give you something cool called What to Say When, how to overcome any objection anybody gives you. They tell you it's expensive, what to say. They tell you they don't have the money, what to say. They tell them the husband won't let them, what to say. How many of you realize that bonus is worth $100 in itself? So I do not need your $100. I am telling you, it doesn't do anything for me. What I need is your success story. So I'm going to ask you to register, go to resultswithmichael.com. And then once you do, the next thing on the next page, it's going to say, do you want this book? And do you want this shirt? I'm going to recommend you take me up on this. The book is normally 20 something bucks on Amazon. The shirt's normally 30 on my website. They're both $49. I'll pay for the shipping. I'm going to send this to you guys as well. I encourage you to do this, but I'm also going to do one more thing for tonight. Those of you watching tonight, pay attention. What's the word I just said? Tonight. So if you enroll tonight before midnight, anyone after that doesn't get it, I'm going to give you 2 copies of this book, one to give to a teammate. How many of you think that'd be pretty cool to do? Do you guys like that idea? So 2 copies, one to give to a teammate. That doesn't mean the other person don't buy one. The teammate you don't have yet. But after tonight, you're just getting 1 book and a shirt, which is still an incredible deal. So I want to give that to you guys as well. So with that said, I'd love to work with all of you. How many of you are excited about this? Anybody think this is a great idea? Love this. Can couples sign up? Yes, individually. You got to do it individually. People are like, is there a deal for a couple? What better deal is 79% off? So it's $99. Each couple has to sign up individually. Husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, aunt, uncle, your sheep. If you got a thing with sheep, your sheep has to sign up individually. Okay. So with that said, resultswithmichael.com. We'll drop it in one more time. Go to the page, make the decision. Maria, I went over, forgive me, 23 minutes over what I said I was going to do. Is there anything else you wanted me to cover? I got 7 minutes before I get back to my family, and it's available anytime until Maria goes on and she's unmuting. You could take it anytime in the next 12 months. I run it every month. It's live with me and it's over the phone. And here's why. So you get better at, Maria will tell you, Maria, why is the phone so valuable, Maria? Why do I do it on the phone?
So we can pay attention
Mhm.
and no distractions of anything else.
And you don't have to wear makeup. You can wear anything you want. You can be naked for all that matters. It doesn't matter. I don't have to watch you eat lasagna. Okay. But the other reason is you learn how to listen well. How many of you realize we don't learn how to listen well on Zoom, but on the phone, we learn how to listen. So Maria, forgive me going 24 minutes over. Anything you want to share or say or do, or?
No, thank you so much. I did the program 2 weeks ago, I think, and I absolutely loved it. We all have a comfort zone. Even I have my comfort zone, and I got to identify my comfort zone and what I needed to do to step out of that comfort zone. And sometimes it's not crazy things. It's just something different to do, right? Where you can meet new people. So I'm not going to spoil it, but it was really amazing. Michael is very, very gifted. And those bonuses that he gives, those were amazing. I've taken notes and notes and notes, and you're going to have to go back and listen because he gave nuggets, but he says it so fast that you're going to go back and listen and write them down, because the nuggets he gave at the beginning, he's repeated them. You probably have missed it, because I know I did the first time. The first time I heard him, I listened almost 3 times. And this time it's like my 4th time hearing him. And it's just incredible, the different nuggets of how we can say things a little different. So yeah, I'm thank you so much for taking the time, for being here.
Of course.
Everyone's excited. I know the people that are here and stayed all the way to the end, they want to grow, they want to make this work. And Communication, we know that communication and confidence is
Yep.
key. Anyone have any
It's everything.
questions for Michael before we let
Yeah,
him go?
I got 4 minutes. I mean, here's the deal, folks. Don't overthink the program. It's $99. You got a year to take it. If you listen to one day, it's worth it. It's a couple hours a day for 5 days. Stop with the time thing. It's not an issue. I have moms of 9 that are single moms of 9 kids that are able to make the coursework. Stop the excuses. If you make excuses, they'll make excuses. Enroll, and here's why. If you don't do this, you're going to be battling with this the rest of your life. This is my gift to help you do this. You don't even have to like me. Liking me is not necessary to make this work. You have to be a person that understands that you've got to change the way your communication works. So it's for 5 days. I'd enroll in the program. Do not overthink it and share this with your team. We are not leaving this up past. We're going to take the page down, I believe, I think it's a few days. Michael's going to leave this up through core, and then it's going to go bye-bye. Enroll tonight, get the double bonus in the books. That's if you do the $49 extra, you get the bonus books. But I can answer questions about anything, the course or anything. I got 4 minutes left. All areas of life it'll help you with. Yeah, it'll help you with everything. How often is core offered? Twice a year we do core live. Midnight Pacific Standard Time. I would just do it. Stop overthinking. All of you. Your overthinking is a disease. Overthinking starts off as a concept and then it becomes a disease. Like I have a dad that's an aerospace engineer. Talk about like, hey dad, look at the beautiful sunset. Those are dust particles in the sky, son. Ugh. Like, do you understand? Like overthinking destroys us. Like while you're overthinking, I'm buying the stock at a cheaper price. Everyone was like, oh, is Tesla really going to work? I was telling Mike the other day, I was buying it at $45 a share back in 2015. I owe hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shares. Do you guys understand? Well, you guys were wondering whether the company was going to work and going to Starbucks, some of you, and waiting to see if it was going to work. I took action. Do you guys understand? I get 2 bottles of this a month. Why? One at the office and one at home. I don't want two bottles of this stuff. You know why I have one at home and one at the office? Because if I forget to take it, I'm not going to screw around. Do you guys understand? But I don't do the business. And here's why. Because I'm involved with the industry. And I want to help as many people as we can become entrepreneurs and make it work. And I want to be able to help as many industries as we can. I can't be involved with one, but your products are amazing. And I can't say that for all. Anybody have a question? Resultswithmichael.com. And how many of you are joining us? Anybody joining us? If you are, say I am. Anybody put it in? Say yes. Anybody? How to get the book shirt option? It's on the second page. It's on the next page. And if you can't figure it out, you email action@michaelbernoff.com and Mike P and my team will help you. Anybody have a question before I run back to my amazing family?
And so just so everyone knows, it starts May 1st. It starts on a Sunday after Sunday night. And
See
then
core,
it's
Jackie.
our night that you do it.
Yep. I see some hands up. I see a couple hands up. I see Dylan's hand up and I see Patino's hand up. Do we need to, are they just
Yeah, they can unmute. They can unmute if they have a question.
speak, young Jedis? Anybody got questions? I
Go
don't
ahead,
only
Dylan.
talk to Canadians.
Hi, did you see?
Hey,
my
what's up?
Hey,
What's your
it's
question?
my question was, well, in 2 parts. One was somebody else's, and it was a good question of how we can get our young people who are about 18 years old to get started in network marketing.
Yep.
And it's a similar question I have because I have a young son too. And then the other part is actually some of the teachings that you have. If we can't make the 5 days, is there anything that we can follow or look into that you?
I mean, I can't figure out why anyone couldn't make the 5 days over the next year. Does that make sense? That's what I would say. If it's an economic thing, just go find me on YouTube and just study. But if not, talk to any small 12-year-old. They have a piggy bank with $99 in it. Do you guys understand? Like, we've got to figure that stuff out. And the reason I say it like that is, how many of you'd agree if we can't spend $150 a month on our health, we're not going to make it work? Like, I have a walk-in pantry with products that I take of all things, like walk-in, like of things, like you name it. I have the health kitchen. Do you guys understand? Of all kinds of things, stuff people didn't even know existed. Like, oh, I got something for that. I got something for this. I got something for that. So the reason I'm saying that is call to action is the greatest place all people should get started. And I'll see a lot of you at core too, which I'm excited about. Yes, Thursday it is. So anybody else? Question? Anything? Anybody? And how do you get kids started as entrepreneurs?
I have a question.
Just show them, there's a lot of things you can do. That's a loaded question. I'd have to meet individual kid. Not all 18-year-olds are the same. They all have different motivations. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
What should we have prepared for this program? Like, will there be
Okay.
stuff to print?
Yeah. 100%.
Note
You're,
taking,
you're
'cause it's
gonna
all-
need you're gonna need a number 2 pencil, 3 of them, sharpened for exactly 13 seconds. You're gonna need size 12 font on your computer. I'm just kidding. We're gonna send you everything you need. Just enroll. We're gonna teach you everything. I've been doing it for 20 years, put over 150,000 people through it, and I'm gonna tease you a bunch. And here's why. I'm gonna take your overthinking and destroy it. Are you cool with that? We're going to destroy it. I'm going to rip that piece out of your brain so your overthinking doesn't dominate you anymore. How many of you are excited about that? I'm going to torture your overthinking so it doesn't overthink you ever again. Is that helpful? If you can read your emails and check your texts, you're going to love it. Resultswithmichael.com is the biggest no-brainer in the world. There are people that 3 weeks ago, I did a program. They bought this and something else for $650. You guys get it for 99 bucks. Anybody else? Take one more question.
Okay, so I'm the kid that asked the 18-year-old.
What's up, kid?
So I'm the kid that asked the 18-year-old question. And it's one thing if you're trying to, like, you're a mom who's trying to influence a kid to get.
Okay. Stop with the whole story. Just ask the question.
Okay. What advice do you have for someone?
Did you see what I just did, everybody? Does everybody understand what I just did? He was doing the loop around. Let's get right at it. We need to teach people to get right at it. Do you understand, everybody? So now ask. Real question.
What is your advice for someone who's driven, who's actually trying to get into this?
Are we talking about you in particular or another person?
Yeah, me in particular in this case.
So driven people don't ask questions like that. Driven people do what needs to get done.
Okay.
So are you really driven or you talk like it? Do you talk driven or you do driven?
Well, I've been doing driven.
Okay, very good. So you're building the business?
Yeah.
Very good. So you're doing what's right. What is your question?
I suppose that answers it.
Very good. So here's the answer. You're going to have to be patient. And here's the thing. You're not moving slow. You're operating from the pace that your identity has given you. Does that make sense? People aren't slow. They're operating from a different pace. The guy getting sober is just operating from a different pace. He's not slow. He's operating from a different pace. So right now, your pace is of the confidence and communication you have is the pace you currently have. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. I recruited an 18-year-old when I was 22 into my direct sales company. His name is Neil Anders. Neil lives in Lake Havasu. He was a young guy motivated like you. Neil does pretty well. I haven't spoke to Neil in years. He was a diamond with that company, did very well. Here's the best part about Neil. I went to Lake Havasu recently and I asked about Neil. He flies private now. He's 39 years old. He hasn't been in a commercial jet in 10 years. He owns a restaurant right there in Lake Havasu. He is wealthy. He was you right there. But you know what? He's been at it for 20 years. So here's a better question. How, when I'm 22, do I wind up in an incredible spot? That is a better question than what does an 18-year-old do? We need to get you from 18 to 19 and 19 to 20 to 21. How many of you recognize we need to think long-term to make this work? How many of you are getting this? Does that make sense? How do I ensure when I'm 22, I'm in a different place? That's a great question, isn't it? So what would you answer as that question, young buck?
Well, each person's going to have their own path.
No, stop talking for other people. The greatest thing you're going to start doing is becoming very selfish. You're going to learn how to take care of you. You talk about everybody else because it's safer. How many of you realize you need to say, here's what I'm going to do, not here's what everyone should do. And this is how it should work. Here's what I'm going to do. Do you understand that? Start the sentence. Say it. Here's what I'll take extra minutes right now because I care. Say, here's what I'm going to do.
All right. So I'm going to spend time putting in the work to make the connections and make the steps to get to where I would like to be.
When I'm 22 years old, I'm going to be so good with communication that I can lower people's resistance, make them receptive, no matter what it is I'm marking and be good at it. Correct?
Exactly.
Are you willing to put in 3 years? Because most people aren't willing to put in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
How many of you understand this is how we need to talk to our youth? Does anybody get this? And I do this all the time. This is the game that we all need to be good at. He'll never forget this. Do you guys understand? You will never forget this day. You will never forget what's going on. So here's the deal, folks. Resultsofmichael.com. Take it seriously. I don't need you to buy a course. If you want to buy a course, do not sign up. I don't sell courses. I'm giving you an opportunity to communicate differently, to change what it is you do. Maria, I got to say thank you. Carrie, thank you for allowing this to go on tonight. Thank you for your families. Thank your families for letting me have your time tonight. Resultswithmichael.com. I'm excited to work with you. And Maria, I'll get you a list of who signs up afterwards. Here's why. We're going to compare to those who did and those who didn't. And there's going to be a disparity. Do you understand? We'll make that happen. So thank you. And I'll see you in 2 days at court.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Lots of love. See you guys. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Take care.